I would imagine, considering you click on this video, that you are looking for a way to organize your life. Maybe the work you're doing is too overwhelming, or maybe you just want someone to give you a clear idea of the way forward. About 4 or 5 years ago, I felt the exact same way too. I was buried under endless project, work drains my energy, family needs my attention, and I just couldn't help myself but to feel like this way of life was just not sustainable. But here's the truth, with a lot of help from my mentor and lots of my friends, over the years I realized anyone has the ability to completely reorganize his or her life through a process in as little as 7 days. Today, I'm going to show you how I do it. Day number 1, viewing your life from 10,000 feet up. The reason why I started to think about organizing my life was because I was nearly let go from my first consulting job 5 years ago. And after a very harsh phone call from HR, I knew I have to make a change. So the first thing I did was talk to my mentor at the time, who was a senior aircraft designer from my previous job. And he told me something I will never forget for my entire life. He told me that organizing your life is a lot like skydiving. You need the guts to jump, but more importantly, you need to see your whole life from 10,000 feet up. It's going to be vast, complicated, and overwhelming. But when you're at the door ready to jump, the single most difficult thing is actually you've got to spot that little tiny bit of landing zone through all the chaos below. And he's right, prioritizing goals is about seeing everything but saying no to most. So on day 1 of this process is to figure out what really matters versus what can wait. And to do that, let me show you a very simple trick I call the brain dump. Here's how it works. First, you're gonna find a quiet spot where you can be alone with your thoughts. Set aside 30 minutes and just write down everything that's been weighing on your mind. Work stuff, personal goals, worries, your ideas, everything. If you need more time, take a break and come back to it. The goal is to empty your mind completely. And when you're done, you will have a messy wall of text. And that's perfect. It's like taking a mental snapshot from a very high level. In order to make sense of all this mess, you want to organize it into a clear list. I use ChatGPT for that. I'm going to put that prompt in the description below so you can copy it. But if you feel like you want to draw it out on a piece of paper, you can also do that too. Here's a tip. You want to turn all your thoughts into action items. For example, instead of writing down "I'm bad with money," write down "create better money management habits." It's all about framing things positively. Once you have a very neat and tidy list, you want to go through the list and ask yourself these 4 simple questions. Number 1, does this item benefit me or my family in the long run? Number 2, does this grow me into a better person? Number 3, do other things in my life depend on this? Number 4, does this fit with other important things on my list? AKA, there's no contradictions. If something gets a no to any of these questions, it probably means that this item is not a priority for you. To prioritize your life, you actually want to take this list, rank everything based on how many yes answers you get on each item. Then you want to draw a line. Focus on what's above and let go of what's down below. Day number 2, learn to put off tasks the right way. The second thing my mentor taught me about reorganizing my life is actually learning when to put off tasks. This may sound quite counterintuitive, but if you have ever managed people or had a demanding boss before, you probably heard things like, well, I need this by the end of the day, it's better if I have this ASAP, or please make this one of your top priorities. And in today's fast-paced world, these phrases actually flood our work life, creating an endless sense of urgencies. It's actually very easy for us to feel like we're drowning in a sea of demands, each one claiming to be the most important thing there is. But here's a secret. Have you thought about most deadlines aren't so urgent as it seems? Especially when you are part of a bigger organization, you are often just one moving part in a bigger machine. Understanding how that machine works can save you from a lot of unnecessary stress. When your boss says a report is due tomorrow, there's a good chance that he's building a buffer for internal review. Or maybe your work is going to be used in one of those brainstorming sessions later in the week. Most of the things that you make are going to be revised or replaced anyways. These, of course, are only hypothetical scenarios. My point is that a good boss will communicate these deadlines very clearly to you. But obviously, we're not living in an ideal world, right? And if you're constantly losing sleep over these artificial deadlines, this is actually the first thing you need to trim off from your life. To do that, there are some things you can do. Number 1 is to understand the real reason behind those deadlines. That's why you gotta ask that critical question. Can I know why must you have that before Tuesday? I don't think many supervisors will get offended by that, so the benefit definitely overweight the risk. And number two is communicating clearly what you can and cannot deliver within a given time frame. One of my early mistakes was eagerly saying yes to every single task that was given to me, thinking that it would make me stand out. But that only ended up in me delivering everything very poorly. So the truth is, you need to take a step back, prioritizing what really mattered, and confidently say no to unrealistic expectations. And that's the beginning of you taking back control of your time and energy. And on day 3, you want to build a life operating system. Once you've identified your priorities, the next day you need to create a system that drives you to take consistent actions. I call this the life operating system. Now, there are a lot of complicated framework out there based on best-selling books or productivity gurus. I think for most people, you should just choose from one of two main approaches: time blocking with a calendar, or what I call a TEA method. Let's first talk about time blocking. Time blocking involves reserving a specific chunk of time on your calendar for important tasks or activities. It's a very straightforward method that can be incredibly effective for some people, particularly for those who are highly disciplined and treat their calendar like a sacred ground. I mean, if you're someone who thrives on structure, time blocking might be the perfect solution for you. My only suggestion is that you use multiple calendars, one for work, one for personal life, and perhaps even one for a side project or hobbies. This helps you to see how your focus shifts over time and ensure you maintain a balance across all areas of life. However, keep in mind that time blocking can sometimes feel too rigid or just simply leads to scheduling the wrong priorities. If that's a concern for you, you might find the next method more adaptable. This is what I call a TEA method. The TEA method stands for time, energy, and attention. 3 pillars that goes beyond simply managing your schedule. While time obviously is finite and very precious, the quality of how you spend it depends heavily on your energy and your attention. This method focuses on optimizing all 3 by understanding key factors like your health, your sleep patterns, and personal motivations. Instead of just allocating hours, the TEA method encourages you to align your energy level and attention span with the right task at the right time. For instance, tackling high-focus work when you are naturally alert, or setting boundaries to avoid mental burnout. I dive deeper into this approach in another video, so if you're looking for a more flexible system or have 20 minutes to spare, I highly recommend checking out that video after you finish this one. I feel like it's a method that aligns with most people's lives, which is dynamic and ever-changing. Then number 4, create a time capsule and give yourself permission to pause. Now, even if you have an operating system and you sort out all the priorities in life, you will still inevitably run into burnout. To tackle this common problem of ours, I'm going to suggest you a very unorthodox method. So on day 4, you want to create a time capsule. Believe it or not, I actually learned this technique from one of the top business schools. You see, I attended INSEAD in 2018, and just 2 weeks before graduation, my professor walked onto the stage and said, "Today, we're creating a time capsule." As interesting as it sounds, it's not actually the one that you bury into the ground. It's more of a personal letter to our future selves. How it works is that he asks us to write down everything that's been weighing down on us: our ambitions, our fear, the big decision we're about to make after graduation, and the dreams we felt too far away at that moment to reach. He asks us to put everything down on a piece of paper and just hand it to him after the lecture. He promised to mail them back to us after some time. And here is a letter. I had it on my bookshelf every day since I received it back from him. Let me tell you, when I received that letter back years after graduation, it was a very surreal experience. I was struck by how much have changed. The worry I poured into the letter, stress about a job prospect, being a nervous new dad, and everything else, they all feel so distant and irrelevant the moment I opened that letter. Very apparently, life had moved on. And so had I. But the real impact wasn't when I read the letter, it was when I first wrote it. I remember sealing the envelope and giving it to my professor. That moment I feel like I had let go of something heavy. In a strange way, it was as though I had given myself permission to stop obsessing over those fears and uncertainties. It was like telling myself, it's okay, you acknowledge these things. Now focus on what really matters, because the rest may very well sort itself out. The simple technique was actually used by a lot of historical figures too. Benjamin Franklin famously kept personal journals throughout his life. Amongst the pages often were his letter to his future selves. Those reflections weren't just about his goals. They were his way of letting go of the present and charting his course for the future. So here's my advice. When you find yourself overwhelmed, take some time to write a letter to your future self. Be honest. Put everything down: your struggle, your dream, and fears. And trust me, this may seem to be a very small thing. It can feel like a transformative process. You might just feel a sense of relief and clarity that you didn't know you need. So after all the house cleaning items on previous 4 days, on day number 5, we're finally going to build a roadmap by understanding the dependency in your life. You probably know what a roadmap is, but what do I mean by dependencies? Let me explain. Imagine your goal is to become an investment banker earning $500,000 a year. That dream isn't achieved in a vacuum. It requires a series of interconnected steps. First, you need a strong resume built on key elements, attending a good school where recruitment sessions actually happen, network with the right people, earning credentials like a CFA, or completing 4 to 5 high-quality internships. You also need to develop a deep financial expertise, perhaps even have good family support. And obviously, if your eventual goal is to become an investment banker, there's a lot of steps. Think about it, there's a long chain of prerequisites leading up to that final goal. And not only do you need to meet all those requirements, but the order in which you tackle them also matters. Take Elon Musk, for example. Before he becomes the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, Musk didn't leap into these roles. He built his path step by step. He studied physics and economics to establish a solid theoretical foundation. He co-founded Zip2 to gain hands-on business experience, sold it to found X.com, which later becomes PayPal, and then leveraged those success to launch Tesla and SpaceX. Now we cheer him on as the smartest man alive, but even he actually achieves those success step by step. Each of these moves actually rely on the groundwork laid by the previous one. Now if we take our investment banker example, if you're an 18-year-old economy student aspiring to be an investment banker, your roadmap might look something like this. First, obviously, you want to study well and get good grades. You can use paper trades or use your own savings to get started. While you're studying in college, you can start working towards a credential like a CFA. You can work towards securing 4 to 5 quality internships. You can use your academic and practical knowledge to handle internship at target companies, where you can establish the critical network for future recruiting events. And after that, you want to stay connected with your network and be on the lookout for job opportunities. And finally, when it's time to apply to Goldman Sachs, you will have such a huge advantage over every other applicant to succeed in the recruiting season. This roadmap highlights the importance of small wins leading up to the ultimate goals. Therefore, for day 5 of reorganizing your life, take your list of priorities and figure out which one must come first. Assign a timeline for each goal and align them in a logical sequence, just like what Elon and many other successful people did. Speaking of roadmap, it not only applies to planning your life, it also applies to learning your new skills. Of course, I'm talking about today's sponsor, Skillshare. You've probably heard about Skillshare before. They're a fantastic program offering thousands of classes taught by industry experts in productivity, entrepreneurship, and basically anything you can imagine. I've been a Skillshare subscriber for over 6 years now, and it has been instrumental in my YouTube journey, teaching me everything I ever needed to know, from video editing to start a new business. Of course, the curriculum doesn't stop there. If you just want to learn how to improve your life and productivity in general, or any topic you're interested in, you can check out the Skillshare's Learning Path function, a curated collection of courses designed to get the learner through a specific topic or skill set in a structured and sequential way, sort of like a roadmap. For starter, I recommend Ali Abdal's Productivity Masterclass. You can use that course to build some basic knowledge on productivity in general, and moving on to some of the most sophisticated classes like Notion and AI classes. There are literally hundreds of classes for you to dive in as you're making effort to become the best version of yourself. And if you're one of the 500 people to click the link in the video description, you will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Use that link in the description to sign up for Skillshare today. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. Now on to day number 6, creating the right environment. Now that you have the path and action system in place, it's time to focus on the critical element, your environment. If you think working environment doesn't play a big part in organizing your life, you will be wrong. Let's take J.K. Rowling as an example. Before she became the world-renowned author of Harry Potter, Rowling was actually a struggling single mom. She didn't have the perfect setup at home, so she created her own environment by writing in a local coffee shop. I think the hum of people and the smell of coffee did give her a lot of inspiration in the early days, and that really became her ideal creative space. These simple changes in her environment helped her stay focused and bring her magical world to life. Her story showed that sometimes it's not about having those high-tech desks. It's about finding and creating a space that inspires you to do your best work. So on day 6 of reorganizing your life, it's time to take a hard look at those areas and make deliberate changes to set yourself up for success. For that, I recommend you to follow a simple 3-step process. Step number 1 is to clear the clutter. Start by removing anything in your workspace that doesn't belong anywhere or doesn't serve a purpose. Tidy up your clothes, toss out any trash on your desk, and just organizing your space to the best of your abilities. One other benefit is that decluttering has this immediate effect that gives you a mental relief and set the tone for productivity. Step number 2 is to optimize for functionality. This is where you want to ensure sure your workspace works for you. Arrange your tools and furniture to make tasks easier and more efficiently. A comfortable chair or maybe a well-organized desk and a streamlined workflow can do wonders for your focus and output. Step number 3 is to add a personal touch. You want to incorporate some small joys and personal items that motivate and inspires you, whether it's a plant or a meaningful photo or sometimes even a quote you love. These little touches remind you why you are working towards your goals. The beauty of cleaning up physical working environment is that it's tangible and straightforward. You can see immediate progress just like that, which creates momentum for tackling more abstract goals. And don't worry about perfecting your entire house in one day. As you continue to build your system, over time you'll naturally improve other areas of your life. Finally, day number 7, define your marathon. You probably heard the phrase, life is a marathon, not a sprint. If you've been following the guide, you've done the tough work, soul searching, planning, and rethinking how to better organize your life. But here's the thing, none of this will work if you don't stick to the plan and commit to long-lasting change. This is why on day 7, we're going to do something crucial. Define your marathon. This exercise is all about creating habits and systems that help you maintain consistency over the long haul. Here are 3 practical strategies I use every day to stay on the track. And number 1 is to read out my sense for the day. One thing I find very useful recently is that I want to start my day not when I wake up. You want to start the day the night before around 8 or 9 p.m. This is when I typically spend time journaling my thoughts and emotions, summarizing the day and create a to-do list for tomorrow. I find that this little shift in habit may allow me to sleep better at night and give me more clarity in the morning. So I recommend you to try it and use your evening to set the stage for a productive tomorrow. And habit number 2 is to choose your golden star tasks. If you do the previous recommendation, morning can be very overwhelming. Between the flood of emails and never-ending to-do list, it's easy to get scattered. That's why I pick one task, my golden star priority, to focus on each day. This is the task that matters the most, the one that will have the biggest impact. Put a mental sticker for that single task, and as soon as you start your day, you want to tackle it head-on. Completing that priority early on builds momentum and gives you a sense of accomplishment, which is going to fuel the rest of your day. So the previous 2 recommendations is more like a day-to-day recommendation, but let's be honest, old habits don't disappear overnight. Even with a new shiny system, chaos will creep back in. That's why it's essential to build a safeguard to keep yourself from slipping into the old patterns. So occasionally, maybe every day or every month, you want to do a quick check-in, either weekly or monthly, to do a review and recalibrate. Life isn't about racing to the finish line, it's about finding the suitable path that allows you to thrive. Congratulations if you made to the end of this video by following all the steps. You deserve a pat on the back. I know it's a lot of steps, but every bit of it comes from my past learning, from my colleagues, my mentors, and my own past mistakes. Is 7 days enough to change everything? Probably not. It's probably not going to change who you are entirely, but it did offer a critical path to take back control of your life. So take what you learned from this week and apply those strategies and keep moving forward. Your marathon starts today. If this video has inspired you or helped you or given you something to think about, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section below. And if you want more tools or ideas to keep growing, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support means everything to me and help me continue creating content just like this. Thank you for being part of the process. I'm Kamzi. I'll see you in the next one.